Hi, I'm Bob Vavra, Content Manager for Plant Engineering with this year's System Integrator of the Year award winners from eTechnologies Group. On my immediate left, Steve Veldhaus, the CTO, and Doug Fagerly, the Founder and Chief Strategy Officer. Gentlemen, once again, congratulations on the award. eTechnologies Group is a global company. You've worked on projects all over the world. Talk about some of the similarities and differences that you're seeing in manufacturing, and also in some of the projects that you're working on globally.
Start with, I guess, kind of lay the groundwork. The global, us getting into global has been kind of a journey, and it's a cycle. That we're seeing the pendulum swinging back and forth as we've been executing projects. We jumped in probably about 9 years ago, back when a lot of the companies were trying to get into emerging markets and getting into the BRIC, the Brazil, Russia, India, and Asia markets. And we were fortunate enough to have a customer that really was multiple customers that was very ambitious in trying to get into these markets. One of the things we've done very good for our customers is to develop standards and to be able to deploy those standards in many different plants in various different applications. So we were able to take that first step and along that journey with them. And boy, what a interesting challenge and road it was is trying to implement these big projects in different cultures, and quite a good learning for us in doing so along with our customer. Mainly, we had to take a standard platform, whether it was a software platform or a whole system platform, being a whole process, and being able to take that one standard and develop the software so it can be configurable to the various regions that we were implementing in, because they have regional preferences. So we couldn't go into the program and change it. We had to be able to make it configurable on the outside. So over the years, we've implemented these standards. We were very competitive in those markets, but as the pendulum's swinging now, you can see things moving more back domestically, where a lot of focus and projects are being driven here domestically. With the strength of the dollar, also, it makes it a little bit more competitive for us to compete in those global markets. But we found our sweet spot on where we want to compete and what best value is for our customers in competing in those markets.
Very good. Doug, what are some of your thoughts?
I do think that the pendulum swings. One of the things that's happening right now is that as we developed tools and software to put into some of the global companies for their purposes, where they wanted a very consistent product, no matter what the skill set or training level of the technicians or the plant environment, no matter where the raw materials were, they wanted a very consistent result. What that did is that put high demands on automation and systems that learn things, predict things, et cetera. The byproduct of that is when we apply those back in the United States, it makes us very competitive here from a manufacturing perspective, because it takes out some of the variability. That, combined with the fact that there are over 2 million unfilled manufacturing jobs in the U.S., gives us a place to be competitive here. And so that's kind of a byproduct of learning how to do it internationally, is then bringing those learnings back here and applying them and getting benefit here for the manufacturers domestically as well.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the movement in manufacturing on a global basis, but a lot of U.S.-based companies have manufacturing facilities overseas, and a lot of foreign-owned manufacturers have huge install bases here in the U.S. So it's really a global and a much more holistic process that we're trying to see. You talked about standards a little while ago, Stephen. One of the things in that area is that the process standards may be different from country to country, but the things that each manufacturer is trying to achieve in terms of productivity and output are very much the same.
Well, what's interesting is that we're able to, develop a standard that could be rolled out, even a process standard or a machine standard that is not different from region to region. It is just tweaked based on, let's say, the types of raw materials that they have available, but the process still runs the same. It may use a different raw material. We may use different raw material feeds or even different machines because they may have different raw materials for packaging. The biggest difference, which is interesting, is not necessarily the install that we do. It's almost like every region that you go in, it's almost like going to a different customer and a completely different process, because you have to learn the culture, the skill sets that they have available, just dealing with the bureaucracy in trying to get a purchase order and get paid, the taxes associated with that. And so it's very, and we've learned a lot of that, and it continues to change, but we've got processes and things in place that help aid us in executing those pretty efficiently now.
Yeah. Doug, one of the things that's a standard across the board in manufacturing is safety. It's a huge driver for everybody in every culture, and if it's not, it should be. It's the top thing that we focus on from a manufacturing standpoint, and a lot more safety is being designed into control systems. Is this a trend that your customers are embracing, and is it something that you take out to your customers and say, here's a new way to build safety into your control system?
This is a great yes or no question, yes and no question answer, I'm sorry. When you think about safety, you have to think about safety from taking three different journeys. One is about consumer safety, and domestically, we've certainly done a much better job in the last 10 years with our consumer safety issues. Globally, they're still learning some of those. Then the next one is to talk about a safe work environment. That's an interesting one in that customers are all in a different place on that. We have some customers that are very, very sophisticated about it. The way we like to approach it is, the first thing is we try to eliminate the risk itself, get rid of the problem so there is no safety thing. If there is, how are we going to deal with it? Can we automate our way out of it? Can we make the machine safer? Can we automate it? Can we guard it? All those things come into play here. And we have to look at those and say, what is the best thing for this customer to do? Our customers, once they start down that journey, they get the hunger. But they need a little nudge sometimes to get going. But once they see it and they understand it, they get the hunger because there's advantages for them. There's studies that have proven when you put a better, safer work environment, you have happier employees. Retention, we've talked about that today already. Retention is an issue for even our customers. That helps them retain employees. Another one that happens is if you have done steps to eliminate safety or put safety into the control system, the plants actually run better. They have, and this is documented, they have better uptime on their equipment. It doesn't break, it's automated, it runs very consistently and puts out a consistent product. So there are some advantages. So once they start down this journey, they get very, very hungry for more. The third one is actually a little bit tougher because it's so undefined, and that is cybersecurity. There's a lot of people talking about cybersecurity, but I don't think anybody has the whole answer to cybersecurity yet. People talk about pieces they can do, but getting the whole picture on cybersecurity is pretty tough right now. And it's one that just because of some of the PR hits, people have taken notice to, but now that they see the real dangers of cybersecurity when it comes all the way down to the control layer, it's starting to raise some eyebrows. And so we're having to work with the customers about how to do that. The traditional ways of doing it just aren't going to cut it anymore. So this is one where the customer has to take the journey with us out more on the very leading edge of this and do that exploration with us. And we have a lot of conversations about how much risk they can take. What happens is this, even to the point we say, if somebody is successful trying to hack in, what happens? Where can we put the limits on? How do we stop them at that point? So it's actually accepting that this is a problem, and then what are we going to do about it?
And to a large extent, it's not necessarily the attack from the outside, a deliberate attempt to do something. It very often can be something as simple as somebody using their cell phone within the facility or using one of the tablets that they're using to improve their maintenance operation may also be the entree into cybersecurity. So it's very often an inadvertent breach as opposed to a deliberate one.
Yeah, as many wonderful things as our mobility tools have brought to us, they've also brought these issues. And the answers aren't out there on them all yet, because people feel very close to their mobile devices. I don't want to give my cell phone up to somebody to walk into their facility. That's not going to be a happy day for that person to do that. How do we address that? How do we deal with the security on that? It's a great question, and that answer is actually different for every customer based on the risk, unfortunately sometimes based on their budget, but also on the technology that they've already employed.
Yeah, and Stephen, that's also a cultural issue as you look at this type of thing globally. The rest of the world, Europe and Asia in particular, are much further advanced in the use of and the integration of the cell phone into the daily life. We're actually a couple of steps behind.
Yeah, it's interesting when we have deployed work, let's say even in the Asia region, we've had to be very careful of memory sticks that we leave around because they might disappear and something may come back and there's something on them that shouldn't be on there. So we have to be very protective of what we have. But even the systems that when we installed a whole system, a whole platform, we would set up the servers with all the virus protection. Just getting certain, let's say, licensing available to take overseas. Some of our suppliers, we had a challenge getting those licenses available because of whether it's piracy or just because we had to get hard tokens because we couldn't connect their systems to the internet as easily as we can here because of the security that they didn't have. So we had to air gap systems. So doing remote support was even more difficult halfway across the world. So we would have to get on the phone and communicate and talk and tell them how to push the buttons, what to push, versus being able to actually get in and look at it remotely.
Very good. Well, it's as a global company, you're seeing this from a number of different perspectives, but I think it's exciting to see these issues being addressed. We write about manufacturing being a global and competitive business these days, and companies like yours are helping companies around the world being both global and competitive. So once again, congratulations on the System Integrator of the Year award, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.